Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday, right? It's Wednesday. Hope everybody's doing all right. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Man, it is a beautiful day out here. It's 53, I think. It'll be 65 tomorrow, a little bit of rain in the evening, and then 62 on Friday. And it cools back down to like 32 on Sunday. But man, it is beautiful out. You can see the woods back there. It's almost like spring. The grass has really never died this year much. It's still kind of green in some spots. It's like a greenish brown, but it's never really got brown. We only had a couple cold days, and it's it's crazy. But I think the next till the 21st of January, it's only supposed to be down to like the 30s and 40s in the daytime, and maybe low 20s at night. But man, we have not had a winter here this warm in a while. Last year was the third warmest winter we have had, but this one is going to blow it out of the water. So it started off kind of snowy in December and kind of cold, but now it's warmed up, and I spring is 11 weeks away, so I don't know what we're going to get with that, but it's going to be interesting. So we'll see what happens. But I've got, it's like some of the flowers even are still kind of green, kind of peeking out of the ground. I'm like, this is crazy weather, right? So, but anyway, I hope anybody's enjoying the weather where they're at, and I hope everything's going good. But I want to talk about today, I want to get on here and talk about, what's going on in the world. Haven't done a world update in a little bit. We talked a little bit last night on the video I posted on here, on the short I posted on here about New York City and how New York City it's really changing right now. And I think a lot of people are going to be surprised that what they voted for is going to be a lot different than what they expected. You got Muslim prayers praying a few times a day. The bus fares went up, like I mentioned in that video last night. Things are going to change more drastic than what people, I think, can imagine. Some businesses are already closing up, moving out. That's been there for 50, 60, 70 years. Staples in the communities are moving out. And it's only going to get worse. And I was talking to my wife this morning, and this is going to spread like wildfire, in especially blue states, I believe, and it will try to spread into red states if it's allowed in the communities. And it's going to catch fire and catch hold and really going to explode. And it's going to be crazy, but it's going to get to those times, folks. I seen Eric Stackleback last night. He's got a YouTube channel. And he was talking about, is Islam taking over America now? Are we on the threshold of buckling to it? And it's a really good point that he is making, because we are, looking at a change of the guard, per se, in this world right now. So, and you look at other situations, you look at Venezuela, what just happened with the arrest of Maduro. There's 14 other warrants for arrest for that people in that country. United States has sent 20 to 50 millions of top quality oil back from that country. Of course, a lot of people saying we took it over, trying this for the oil. There was a book years ago, and you probably still find it on Amazon or maybe on Audible, or the bookstore or whatever, but it's called Oil and Terror. And it says in the last days that oil will become a very popular thing. And my neighbor's dog's barking through the woods back there. It's going to be a very popular thing where the world is going to be oil hungry. It's going to come down to where I need to invade your country just for the oil. It's a very interesting book. I read it back in the early 2000s, and I let my cousin borrow it. And he read it for a while, and he thought, man, that's eye-opening. And you see it kind of playing out in different countries right now, and maybe in this situation as well. But, Venezuela now is going to have a change of the guard. You look at Cuba, which was very funded by Venezuela. They are buckling right now. They are on a sinking ship, and it is going down fast. And there is a lot of, blood in the water, basically. People are getting upset. People are getting mad. You look at Venezuela, some of the people were eating dogs just to stay alive down there. That's how bad it was. But yet you have people that protest what we did to remove a dictator that was illegitimate president. He was not supposed to be in there. So, people want freedom all over the world, not just in America. They want freedom all over the world from, oppression and from this evil dictators. You look at Iran right now, and some of the provinces, I think 9 provinces in Iran right now, they're protesting, they're rioting. They're tired of the regime. Back in the 70s, Iran used to be a big destination for tourists. They made a lot of money in tourism. People went to college there. They had some of the top institutes in the world. People went on to resorts there. It was beautiful. Women dressed how they wanted to dress. I mean, I've seen some pictures of ladies sitting on a sports car smoking a cigarette with bikinis on. That's how it used to be over there. And then Islam came in, the Islamic regime came in and just crushed all that to where women wear hijabs and all these different things. But right now in 9 provinces, they are revolting. And last night in one of the major provinces, the police force sided with the protesters and joined them to help overthrow the regime. And they're yelling out death to Allah Khamenei. They're, all these different things they're calling for. And the majority of these are young people under the age of 35. They're tired of it. They're tired of the oppression. They're tired of being smashed down and kept down. And the majority of them, like I said, are under 35 years old. Well, they look around the world. They see people in America that got internet. They're going to Taco Bell. They can go here and there. They go to the movie theater. Or they can go play golf or, sit on your front porch and, have friends over for a party. And they're not dictated and crushed down and oppressed. They have freedom of religion here in America. A lot of other countries do too. But they want that. They crave that. That generation is craving these things. They want freedom. They are tired of the nonsense and the oppression of the Islamic regime. Well, it's going to get really messy in Iran. I think somebody's going down the big hill over there. That hill is really steep, by the way, and they really fly down it until they get up on it, and then they got to chalk it up. So we've got, you're going to see a lot going on over there in Iran that is going to blow your mind, I think. And what the Islamic regime does with that? Are they going to squash it? Are they going to get thrown out? I don't know. But we know that Iran will still be a serious player, especially when it comes to biblical things, in the end times. Iran's going to be a big player. Turkey's going to be a big player. Of course, Russia and China is going to be a big player in the end times. It's a lot of it's prophetic. You can't change prophecy. But in that, if say this regime gets overthrown, maybe the new regime coming in will be good for a little while, and then maybe it will get corrupted again. But I just don't see it getting overthrown to the point to where the Islamic is going to go out of there. The regime is going to go out of there. I just don't see that. Now, Cuba, I can see the people starting to revolt down there, and they'll want something better, want something new. That's a story that's going to yet to be told, right? So we'll see what happens with that. Greenland's another one. You got Greenland right now. Greenland, the prime minister of Greenland, he said, hey, we're open to being bought. We're open to becoming part of America. And you have Denmark, which owns Greenland, saying, no, we're not going to sell. We're not even negotiating. We're not even talking about that. But the Greenland people, most of them, let me know if you are from Greenland in the comments and what your comments is on this. Saying they want America to take over. They want America to change them. So, it's interesting. You got the Gulf of America all the way up to possibly could be Greenland, which I don't know what they would even name that, another state or whatever it would be. All that would be U.S. territory except for around Newfoundland and all that, which is Canada. But, the president keeps saying it's a strategic thing because you have Russia and Chinese ships, warships, and submarines around that area greatly. So strategically wise, I understand where he's coming from with that. A lot of people don't get that. Of course, you never played the game of Risk. You don't know. But strategic is what you have to be in these things. Because if not, you're going to get ran over. You're going to get, we can come in and take this. But I think China's main focus right now is not Greenland. Their main focus is Taiwan. And eventually, I believe one day, whatever year, they will take Taiwan back. I firmly believe that. Especially if the wrong leadership gets in America, it's going to be a mess. And, if you think, I was telling my wife this morning, if you just think if Kamala Harris would have won, what a mess we would be in, right? I mean, it would be a mess in this country if she would have won. So with the borders would just be, this country would be a bad mess. You see what's happening in Minnesota with the fraud, Ohio with the fraud. This whole country would be like that. 22 states have denied access to the federal government for their SNAP benefits to see how much fraud is in those 22 states, blue states, and they will not share that information. So that tells me right there you have fraud. So now each state that's on that list is going to be dissected by the U.S. government. But I don't know about you, but I don't want government. I want less government, not more government coming into my life. So, but when you are doing evil things, evil loves evil, and it just keeps, cohabitating with each other. So it just spawns how much more evil can it do. And the Bible talks about your sins they're going to be told, they're going to be found out. So, a lot of this stuff is going to come to light. I think, the Lord is really, he's separating the wheat from the tares right now in a lot of different ways. In all this world impact, you look at the Bible and you say, man, well, there's a lot unfolding right now, with all these different countries and, different things happening, and, what's next? We got midterm elections coming up, and, this coming November, this is 2026, by the way, is coming November. So America's going to be kind of at a crossroads. I mean, you see these last elections here we just had in November, a lot of Democrats won. So if the tide goes more that way, will that be a precursor to 2028? And if so, this nation is in a lot of trouble. It really is. Because the godly things will go away. Islam will come in more and more and more and take over, like they're trying to do in Fort Worth, Dallas area, like they are in Dearborn, like they are in New York City, like they are, up in Minnesota and Ohio with all the Samoan different things. There's so much going on that it's just going to be an open door. And you look at this stuff is eventually going to happen. What year, what date, what time, I don't know. But eventually this is going to happen, because if you look at the Antichrist is probably going to be Islamic. I believe he's going to be Islamic, and I believe Islam will be the major world religion in the world. And he is going to betray and deceive a lot of people, and they're going to believe he is the Messiah. So, I believe there's a reason why this is so an uptick of this stuff right now going on. It's all setting the stage for that time frame of the 7-year tribulation that will happen. When you'll have the one world order, you're going to have, in that you will have the one world government, you're going to have the one world economic system, you're going to have the one world false religion, the one world mark of the beast, which you can't buy, sell, swap, or trade. So there's so much playing into that. And a lot of people, they will believe in it. Some people think, oh, no, the Catholics are going to be the false religion, the world. Well, the Catholic Church will play a great, it's the great harlot the Bible talks about. It's going to play a major role in that. But in that, if you look at it right now, the Pope's like, oh, all religions are kind of the same. Islam could be accepted, and all these different things. We all need to coexist. You see the bumper stickers that say coexist. But, it's amazing to me to see that how much is going on and what's going on in the world, and how much is changing and how much is going to change. But, it's the Catholic Church. See, they find out, but it's too late, that they have been deceived in the one world religion. They get deceived and see, but the truth is too late at that time frame. And when the false prophet comes, he sets up the one world mark of the beast, which is the one world economy. He sets up the false religion. He sets up a lot of different things. I heard a guy on here the other night, and he was talking about the image of the beast being AI. And, AI is going to play a big role in that, which I do believe AI will play a major role in the end times. I really, truly do believe that. And it's crazy to see that, what we're seeing in technology now. They just had the conference out in Las Vegas of all the things they unveiled. More home robots, more robots to do your laundry. Smart brick Legos now are coming out, which, that's amazing. Different TVs, different things for around your home. AI is now able to prescribe medicine without a doctor's intervention in Utah. It's a new program, a test pilot program. talk to you, prescribe a medicine for you right to your pharmacy, no doctor involved. So, it's getting crazier and crazier and crazier. These are things we thought, man, 30, 40, 50 years ago, that's George Jetson stuff, right? We're not going to believe any of that. We're not going to see any of that. Well, here it is, folks. It's right on your doorstep, and it's there. So, when AI, in the last days, AI is going to be used greatly. AI can be used one of two ways: in a good way or in a very evil way. And you're going to have a lot of people that try to use it in an evil way. And, I think as far as, the guy said the other night, like I said, he said AI is going to be a major player in the end times. I believe that. But he went as far as saying that AI would be the image of the beast. And I don't agree with that. Now, there will be a statue set up in the temple. That image is set up in the Holy of Holies in the third temple when that's built. And it will be supernaturally, not by AI, but supernaturally brought to life by the false prophet. See, when you get into these scriptures, you really got to sit down and study it and really take detailed notes, because it's very hard to overlook something and try to put something in its place. And when John the Revelator, wrote the book of Revelation, seen different things, he described it as something totally different, because he had to recognize it as something in his day. Not, he didn't know what AI technology was. He didn't know what a helicopter was. He didn't know what tanks were or missiles were. He had to relate to it the best he could as his time frame. And there's a lot of symbolism in the book of Revelation, but you also have to know in that there is a picture being painted by John to show you what is to come. And when you sit down and read it and study it and get a good study Bible and look at good Bible preachers and teachers, prophecy pastors like Perry Stone and others, knowing that it's going to be a good to read the book of Revelation and study it and see what John was talking about in those things that represents our time frame. And there might be things that in that time frame that we have not seen yet that might be coming down the road, and I can firmly believe that. So, AI will play a part in the end times. I believe that. You talk about the one world economic system. People's like, oh, I can't believe that. I can't. Well, the U.S. dollar is not the greatest right now, and it's going to come to the point to where the world will be on one currency under the Antichrist. Is that during this year? Probably not, but in the future it will happen after the church has been removed out of here and that kingdom of the Antichrist is set up on the earth to rule and reign and do his thing for 7 years, which we all know is a false peace treaty and all that. So there's a lot just happening in the world right now, but the main thing is to be in prayer. The main thing is to stay focused on God. Don't get scared, don't get upset. Don't be worried, because we're going to see a lot of things come down the road that you would have never thought you would have ever seen. Be it technology, be it wars, be it rumors of wars like the Bible talks about. Will it be, different, things in our own personal life that we have to endure? The apostles went through a lot of stuff, but they kept their faith. They kept going through Christ. They kept believing through Christ. They kept honoring God in the way that they're supposed to honor God. And that's what we have to do as well. So, for us to kick back and get scared and get nervous, it's not worth it. Fear not, the Bible says, but stay in prayer. Stay in prayer and watch these things unfold, but have prophetic eyes to see what's happening in Iran and Cuba and Venezuela and all these different other countries, and what's happening here in America. With these different, Muslim laws and things trying to be put into place and different stuff like that. So, it's the day of the Lord is coming, and a lot of people don't want to hear that. And the main focus is to make sure your life is right with Christ. That's it. Because everything else is going to be taken care of. It's all set in stone in God's timeline, the way it's supposed to be taken care of. So, anyway, I just want to give you guys a little update, kind of, if you haven't heard anything, what's going on in the world much. How things are changing pretty rapidly right now, prophetic wise, technology wise. Every country right now, it seems like some of the bigger countries are in a lot going on. So Anyway, if you would give this video a thumbs up and share it out to some of your, friends, and drop some comments if you got some comments about what you think is going on, and what you think maybe the technology will go to in the future. And let me know where you're from. Anyway, you guys take care and God bless, and I will see you the next time.